put our date on here. What is it today? January the 6th. Wow. Terrifying. That just seems new decade. So everything that went wrong in the last decade, we can make new things wrong in this decade. There we go. So another thing that we get to review, a very, very, very nice thing about grade 9 math is that each time we learn a new topic, we look at that new topic in relation to old topics we've already learned and get to review them. So we get to review order of operations, which we use the acronym BEDMAS to help us remember. Do you remember what the B stands for? Brackets. Exponents, division, multiply, adding, subtracting. Perfect. And the unit that we're on right now is the exponents unit. So in BEDMAS, often before grade 9, you learn BEDMAS, but you almost never do the E part because you don't do a lot of exponents before grade 9. So it's kind of like BEDMAS because they don't really have the E in there, but it doesn't sound very good when you take you take the E out, it doesn't sound as good. So they teach you BEDMAS and then just sort of, oh, exponents you're going to do later. Well, now we're doing exponents. So when we're going through BEDMAS, the first thing you're going to look for is B. Do we have brackets? In question A, yes. If you have brackets, you then say, is there something mathematical I can do in those brackets? In 3 to the 4, yes, there is something. There's an exponent in there. So then we do that first. I'll keep my 2 out in front. The first thing I'm going to do is figure out 3 to the 4. If you have your calculator, because you'll have a calculator on a test, you could type this in, 3 to the power 4. Okay? An important thing is that you know how to use your own calculator, because every calculator is a little bit different, especially with exponents. Do you know how to type that into your own calculator so on the exam when you have your own calculator, you can get the right answer? So it's important that you have your calculator here and that you practice with your calculator, the same calculator you're going to use on the exam. You type this in and you get 81. Now, often when we simplify, we keep the number in brackets. So notice how I just kept the 3 to the 4. I figured that out. It's 81. I kept it in brackets. So when I look at my order of operations in BEDMAS, I still have brackets, but that brackets are just holding a number now. And so there's nothing to do in there. After this, we now look. Do we have any more exponents? No. Do we have any dividing? No. Do we have multiplication? Yes. Because when there's a number in front of another number with brackets, even though nothing's written right there, it implies multiplication. So the next thing you would do is say, well, what's 2 times 81? Again, go to your calculator. 2 times 81, 162. When we're doing order of operations, we want to show our work so that we're doing one step at a time. Okay. Part B, looking at BEDMAS. Do we have brackets? Yes. So we have brackets, but inside the brackets is just a 4. There's no operations to do inside of those brackets. So brackets are done. We next go to E, exponents. Do we have an exponent in here? Yes, we have a 2 cubed. So it's showing my work. I'm not doing anything with the 5. I'm not doing anything with the plus. I'm doing something with the 2 cubed. Go to my calculator. 2 to the power of 3, or I go 2 times 2 times 2 in my head, and that's equal to 8. Okay? And again, sometimes when you evaluate something, you put it in brackets just to hold that number. Now we've done our exponents. Do we have any dividing? No. It's a little bit hard to see, but this bracket is touching this bracket. It's not written there, but there would be a multiplication between those two. So our next step is to say we need to multiply, so that will give us 5 plus 8 times 4 is 32. And finally, adding 5 plus 32, 37. So for C and D, I want you to try those two on your own. Take out your calculator. If you need to borrow one, come up here and see me. Okay, let's check how you did. We have an exponent. The 4 to the 4 makes 256. The negative would stay out in front. I'm just going to rewrite everything else because that was my only exponent. In this case, there was a 3 inside of brackets, but there was no math that we needed to do with those brackets. Now we have multiplication. 16 times 3 on your calculator is 48. So now we have negative 256 minus 48 plus 8. Negative 48 plus 8 is negative 40. So if you decide to do this first because it's adding before subtracting, the negative in front of the 48 makes that 48 negative. So it's negative 48 plus 8. And then negative 256 subtract 40 is negative 296. Now, the very nice thing about having a calculator, I'm going to pull up my calculator here, is if you happen to get a good scientific calculator where you can see what you're typing, on an exam, you would have to show your work that you know the order of operations. But if you will have a calculator on your exam for this one, and so you can check to see if you got it right by typing the entire thing into your calculator all at once. So here's my screen on my calculator. The question had negative 4 to the power of 4 minus 16 bracket 3 plus 8. So notice I wrote it exactly as the question had it, with the brackets, with everything. I push enter on my calculator. It tells me negative 296. That tells me I've got my answer right. The nice thing about having your calculator is if this same question was on multiple choice, then you could just type the whole thing into your calculator all at once and know that the answer was supposed to be 296 without having to show step by step. So, first of all, I had asked you to go to your calculator and type it in exactly as you see it. After typing it in exactly as you see it, you know what the answer should be. In this one, my calculator says it's 250. Then we go to our order of operations. We have brackets, but inside those brackets is just a single number. Cherian, thank you. But we do have an exponent. 5 cubed on your calculator is 125. When we have these brackets together, there's a multiplication there. Type that into your calculator, and we get 250. So showing our work gives us the same answer as what our calculator does. Next one, 6 minus 3 cubed. We go to our calculator. We type it in exactly as we see. 6 minus 3 cubed. It says the answer should be minus 21. So now we're going to check 3 cubed. That's the first thing we need to do since there are no brackets. Type in 3 cubed into your calculator, you get 27. And now we just have subtracting. 6 minus 27. Again, you could type that into your minus 21. Yeah, 6 minus 27, when you get that in your calculator, minus 21. So it matches up again. Okay, part G, again, check it with your calculator first. You can type the whole thing in. 2 to the power of 6 plus 6 to the power of 2. Calculator says 100. Order of operations, do we have exponents? Yes, we have 2 exponents. So go 2 to the 6 first on our calculator. That gives us 64. 6 squared on our calculator gives us 36. So then you go to your calculator, 64 plus 36, that's equal to 100, and it matches up. 5 cubed minus 6 times 2 cubed. Again, you want to write it into your calculator. It's the nice thing about calculators. When I was in school, you couldn't type it in, the whole thing, exactly as you see it. So we just got it wrong and didn't know what was happening. Okay? But now, you can type it into the calculator and know why you got it wrong, I guess. Oops. So, there I've written it exactly as we see it there, so I can push enter, and I know the answer should be 77. So, looking through, do we have brackets? Yes. Do we have something in the brackets we can do? Yes, we have an exponent in those brackets, so we need to do that first. Type that into your calculator. 2 cubed, you get 8. Now we have brackets, but there's nothing to do, so we go through BEDMAS. We do have another exponent, so 5 cubed, type that into our calculator, is 125. We just rewrite the rest that we have. Multiplication, 6 times 8, type that into your calculator. 6 times 8 is 48, and then 125 minus 48 is equal to 77. Sure enough, it matches what we found originally. Okay, 4 more to try.